Motocross was born in 1972. Gary Jones christened the new series with 3 consecutive 250 titles from 1972 to 74. The 1979 and 80 champion Bob Hurricane Hanna is the second winningest 250 motocross rider of all time. The little professor David Bailey earned 3 outdoor titles in the mid-80s. Rick Johnson wrapped up 22 250 national wins and 3 championships. Jeff Stanton was a fierce 250 competitor that wrapped up 3 titles and is 8th on the all-time win list. AMA 250 Motocross enters its 31st year, and its 3-time defending champion begins defense of his perfect season. Welcome to San Bernardino, California, Glen Helen Raceway for stop number 1 of the AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championships. These are the GiantRV.com U.S. Nationals stop number 1. And hello once again, everybody. Todd Harris along with the champ David Bailey. Cameron Steele joining us momentarily, and there he is, the defending champion Ricky Carmichael, coming off a superb Supercross season where he battled Chad Reed all the way to Las Vegas. His thoughts prior to today.
My expectations is to try to defend my title. That's the main thing. That's what I want to do, and win as many races as possible. You know, the competition's a lot tougher this year, and everyone wants to knock my winning streak off, and I got my work cut out for me, but my Honda's awesome, and I think I can pull a lot of wins off, I think.
Chad Reed, the Thunder from down under, the Australian number 22, coming up a Supercross series with 6 wins to wrap up the season, missed the title by just 7 points.
Winning a lot of Supercrosses definitely just gives me confidence knowing that I can win races, and you know, basically we're on the outdoors and we just have to shift a few more gears, and you know, I feel good. My bike's going good, and I just got to you know, just improve every weekend, and I feel good out there now, and just get through this first weekend and go from there.
David Villeman, someone you know well. How do you think he's going to do in the outdoor season?
Well, he's switching up to the 450, so he's going to have a lot more power. It should get him out to great starts, and from what we saw there, he looks pretty relaxed. Also, Ezra Lusk can certainly get up in there and give Ricky and Chad a run for it, but he hasn't been on the bike that long, Todd, so it's hard to say. Hamblin has a little bit of momentum coming into this, but his teammate Tortelli has been out for quite a while, ever since the Anaheim rounds of the Supercross. His knee is looking better, and he's starting to build some speed, but a lot of these guys don't really know where they fit in just yet. They need a race into the belt to find out where they stand.
Well, the fastest of the Suzuki riders, Travis Pastrana, already having his problems, but for Roger DaCosta, just happy to have a full complement.
Yeah, it's nice to have the whole team back and to have a full house, you know, of course, but things went good yesterday. We had good lap times, and we had good lap times today, but Travis just keeps worrying me already. You know, tried something he didn't need to do on the track and threw it away pretty big time today. So I don't know. You know, I think he's hurting pretty much now. So some more of the same with Travis.
It doesn't get any easier for Roger DaCosta. There's Greg Albertine on the line, making a single appearance here in Glen Helen. Before we get started, let's check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Cameron Steele.
Well, guys, we're getting set to go race in the 250s. The guys are in the gate getting ready to go. Last year, Ricky Carmichael took all the Moto wins. He won all the races. We know Chad Reed has something for him in Supercross, but does he have something outdoors? Something else I want to point out, after a year and a half, the number 14 Honda is back. Kevin Windham is here, and he is ready to race, and we caught up with him a little bit earlier.
My expectations coming into this race and for the whole year is just to ride the bike like I know I can. I've been testing with Ricky and all the guys at Honda. I know I have the speed, but at the same time, it's been a long time since I left the gate. So I'm just anxious to get out there and have fun and ride the motorcycle like I know I can.
Well, Dave, it's good to see Kevin Windham back on the circuit as we take a look at the Suzuki starting lineup. There is Carmichael, LaRocco, Albertine, and Ward. As you look at this lineup as we come up the Supercross Series, who do you like?
Well, that's the beauty of this 250 class this season. There's so many guys coming back, it's really hard to pick a favorite. You can't bet against Carmichael, but you definitely got to look at guys like Windham. Also Pastrana back in there. Robbie Rayner, we haven't seen in a long time, had some surgery on his shoulders. He should be 100% now, so I can't wait to see what happens.
Ricky Carmichael looking to keep the perfection alive. It'll be tough here because the talent level is certainly notched up, and Ricky coming off a less than stellar Supercross where he got the Supercross title, but we are off and running here at Glen Helen. Kevin Windham looking like he's not missing a beat, sits right behind the Cobra, David Villeman.
Moving into a really rutted section. Windham almost goes down right there, makes a mistake, so that's going to give Villeman the clean-cut lead. Both these guys had to ride a qualifier this morning. Windham and Villeman, I think they're a little bit more warmed up and in tune with the track right now, plus those 450s they're riding obviously have the power.
Carmichael and Ferry also coming into view, but right now it is David Villeman, number 12 on the Yamaha. Behind him, number 14, that is Kevin Windham on the Honda. And then comes Tim Ferry and Ricky Carmichael through a very difficult section. It's amazing, though, how David Villeman has been able to rebound. As you pointed out, he has not been on the circuit, did not ride the last few weeks, of Supercross, but here he is getting a whole shot on the first stop of the AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championship.
Well, there's no question that David has the speed. He's very at home on that 450, as is Kevin Windham. There's riding styles and techniques, you know, not the way they look, but the way they attack the track with throttle control and the line choice is very similar. So that bike seems to complement him where I don't think it does for Ricky. So he's just so wide open and pinned everywhere. You can't quite ride a four-stroke like that. And for David, the question is his fitness. How long can he go this pace?
There's Chad Reed, number 22 on the Yamaha, the man that chased Ricky Carmichael all the way to the end of the Supercross Series. But this is David Villeman, the Cobra, on board the Yamaha, number 12, your leader, as they go through. Kevin Windham, though, right behind him, number 14. And for Ricky Carmichael, if he's not going to be up front, he'd like to see a teammate there. And look at Windham trying to make a move on the Cobra.
This is so much pressure right away. And I know that David is anxious to get out there, but it's a little bit tougher to do when you got so much pressure, and he already made a mistake. He went wide, and there goes Kevin.
So Kevin Windham, with a little bit of patience and a little bit of rutted track, makes the move on David Villeman. You talked about Villeman's fitness coming off injury this year. How is he, and how is he going to be on these outdoor national tracks?
Well, I think right now he's probably about 90%. He's about like he was when we went to Geneva for the first Supercrosses, and the difference there was you didn't have Windham and Carmichael. You know, you had Reed and Ferry, and that was about it. Here it's quite a bit more stacked. And, you know, Kevin's already starting to get away from him. He was a little bit quicker in his qualifier, and I just hope David was able to relax a little bit and stay up in there and make a better race of this.
Timmy Ferry right now, number 15, sitting in third place, also on a Yamaha. There's number 4, Ricky Carmichael on the Honda. Talk about Kevin Windham. Here's a guy we haven't seen for quite some time. Honda must have a lot of faith in this kid because they've given him a full factory ride.
Well, there's a big question about whether he was really going to deserve that or not after laying off as long as he has, but I think everybody here realizes the potential of Kevin Windham, the ability to ride a motorcycle smoother and faster than anyone on the planet, even Carmichael, and so far their gamble is paying off.
Speaking of speed, here comes Ricky Carmichael to the outside. He gets the pass done and gets past number 15, Timmy Ferry. So Ricky Carmichael now moves into third place with David Villeman just ahead of him. We'll step aside. Your running order now. It's Windham, Villeman, Carmichael, and Ferry. Back to Glen Helen after this.
Champions ride Hondas. Now and in the future.
I wanna ride, I wanna ride, I wanna ride. I gotta ride,
The Honda XRs. They're a head start.
Welcome back to Glen Helen Raceway in San Bernardino, California. These are the GiantRV.com U.S. Nationals. Todd Harris along with the champ David Bailey and Cameron Steele. This is Moto number 1. Ricky Carmichael looking very good, although Tim Ferry on his back trying to get that third place back in front of Carmichael. Villeman and Kevin Windham, who has been somewhat of a surprise. The guy comes out of, I don't want to say retirement, but near retirement, and just lights the first lap up.
Well, we all knew he could do it, but it's just amazing to see him doing it right now. Villeman makes a mistake right there, can't do the step up, and just like that, Carmichael's up into second, and now I'm wondering, this is where Kevin used to have a weakness. You know, when he's got the guy behind him that's on fire, gaining a little bit or just keeping pace, that eventually he starts to crumble a little bit and ride tight or whatever, and he doesn't get the most out of himself, but you can see the lead he has. Maybe that's going to help him some.
So the two Yamahas get together for third and fourth. Villeman 12, number 15 is Tim Ferry, and now number 22, Chad Reed, comes into your picture. He now sits in fifth place. Ferry just in front of him in fourth. Meanwhile, Kevin Windham is our leader, and for David Villeman, not the way he wanted to start the Outdoor Nationals.
No, it's, you know, I'm not that surprised, though, to see him. It looks like he's going to get passed there again by Ferry. I'm not that surprised to see him losing time to Windham. Wyndham's been on fire here all weekend, and Carmichael, of course, on fire. There goes Ferry around David. And for David, he's just right now, to me, I've seen him ride enough to know that he's just surviving right now. He's making a lot of mistakes. I think the pace is so fast right now, he's a little bit flustered, and he needs a lap or something to try to get relaxed and get into his groove. But every time he tries to take a breather, here comes somebody else.
Out in front, number 14, Kevin Windham on board the Honda. In second, number 4, Ricky Carmichael, also a Honda rider. And in third, it's number 15, Tim Ferry. Here comes David Villeman looking to make a pass on his teammate. Can't get it done. And right behind him is Chad Reed.
You got Team Yamaha chasing Team Honda. The newest member, Kevin Windham, setting the pace. And, you know, I don't see Ricky cutting into that lead at all. Kevin's been able to hang on to it, but we're still early in the race. Villeman is... I don't think his problems are over. Here comes Chad, and he's got a few more behind Chad that look like they're going to be able to get around him if he doesn't get in a hurry here pretty quick.
Well, Ricky Carmichael trying to continue the perfection that he had last year. It'll be interesting to see, and how ironic would it be if that perfection comes to a conclusion by way of Kevin Windham.
Well, so far, Todd, it's looking like it might. That could be the case, and judging from the cheers that Kevin is getting all the way around this racetrack, a lot of people want to see him do it. Now Chad is getting a lot of heat from Sean Hamblin. He rides really well on this racetrack, and this is where he came to life last year and picked up this factory ride.
As they come through one more time, there's number 33, Sean Hamlin, on board the Suzuki ride. Possibly the one ray of hope for Roger DeCosta right now, as Travis Pastrana is having his problems once again.
Amazing that Chad Reed, under full power up that hill, was able to stay forward and get that tear off of his goggles. That's a tough place to do it. And Kevin, look at his lead.
Well, Ricky Carmichael coming into view, but I tell you what, the lead is up to 10 seconds. So Carmichael down to teammate Kevin Windham, 10 seconds. Windham in first, Carmichael now sitting in second, and here comes Tim Ferry in third.
Well, it surprises me both that Carmichael hasn't been able to reel in Kevin Windham at all. He's actually keeping about the same pace, or if anything, losing a few tenths per lap. And he's not shaking Tim Ferry yet. That really surprises me.
David Villeman, number 12. Number 22 is Chad Reed, and Chad Reed gets by his fellow Yamaha rider. Sean Hamlin falling off the pace just a little bit, so Chad Reed goes into fourth. Villeman slides back to fifth. And for Reed, this has got to be a place where he's got to start charging, because he knows better than anyone you cannot let Ricky or Kevin Windham get this far ahead.
Well, he doesn't know that much about Kevin Windham. He's never really raced against him that I can think of, but he knows it's dangerous to let Ricky get too far ahead. He's in striking distance now. He can keep his sights set on him and keep pace. It's still early in the moto, but if he starts to lose any more time to him, it's over.
Sean Hamlin sliding in behind David Villeman right now. Takes a look over his left shoulder, sees what's behind him, and there's the pack, including number 199, Travis Pastrana. Good sign for Suzuki and Roger DeCosta.
Well, I think what was happening with Hamlin is he's looking back on what's all the ruckus. The crowd's going crazy. They're both pretty much the same for Windham and for Travis Pastrana, the favorites out here for the crowd, it seems so far. And Hamlin now knows what all that was about. And, of course, today, Pastrana making his return as well in all white. When he came around for the parade lap, white helmet, white everything. It looks pretty neat out there.
Number 22 is Chad Reed, currently sitting in fourth on board the Yamaha. His teammate David Villeman behind him is number 12. Then it comes Team Suzuki, Sean Hamlin and Travis Pastrana.
Hamlin, I've already mentioned how well he rides here at Glen Helen, but a little bit of a surprise to see him leading Tortelli. Tortelli is, I think Glen Helen for Sebastian is like Daytona is for Carmichael. He rides here excellent. He was fast here in testing, as I saw some of his practice days, and he and Travis are starting to gain ground on Villeman and Sean.
I know they've been testing, but is it a shock for guys like David Villeman, Travis Pastrana, Sebastian Tortelli, who were injured during the Supercross here and really have been out of racing for 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, I can see that that's hurting Villeman right now. He's looking back, he's making a lot of mistakes, and he really doesn't need to look back. You know, that just makes you more nervous.
Kevin Windham continues to lead. We'll be back to Glen Helen in just a moment. Back to Glen Helen Raceway in San Bernardino, California. These are the GiantRV.com U.S. Nationals. Moto #1, Kevin Windham, your leader in the 250 class.
There you see the gap staying about the same. If anything, in the last lap, Kevin put another couple of tenths on Ricky. And Ricky has not been able to carve into that like a lot of people thought that he would. Of course, you know, Kevin's been fast in testing. That's been the word on the street, but racing is always different, and that's where Ricky always prevails, and so far he's not been able to do much about Kevin. He looks like he's starting to maybe have to settle for second place in this moto, just go for the overall.
Meanwhile, Sean Hamlin gets past David Villeman, Chad Reed sitting in 4th place, but Kevin Windham continues to lead on a very rough track this afternoon. Ahead of him, another Yamaha rider, that's Tim Ferry, number 15.
And check out Kevin Windham's form heading into the sand whoops. He cuts the corner sharp, kind of lays the bike over and scrubs it a little bit, lands right in the berm with the power on, gets right down into the berm with all the speed he can get, so he can get a nice rhythm across the tops of those big sand whoops. And you know, you look at Chad Reed and you think, man, this guy's got a lot of style, but I forgot about how stylish Kevin Windham is. He makes this look so much fun and so easy.
You talked about the speed aspect. One of the last people to beat Ricky Carmichael. That in itself is saying something. And there you see the gap that Kevin Windham has over fellow Honda rider Ricky Carmichael.
I don't think Ricky's used to having a gap like that to make up this late in the race. Not really getting away from Ferry like he was last year either. So, you know, I think what you're looking at here is that Chad Reed and Carmichael, they've spent so much, they went down to the wire in Supercross. They didn't do quite as much outdoor testing as a lot of the other guys, and maybe they're having to pay that price a little bit here at this first round, but they'll get the flow.
This is Chad Reed. He is in the hunt. You got to talk about Timmy Ferry. Talk about the confidence he must be building.
Yeah, it's great for him because he had to sit out quite a bit with Epstein-Barr, and, you know, now he's able to...
Oh! Kevin Windham goes down. The front end just sticks. He came over that berm. The nose just dove on him, David.
Well, I didn't even see anything coming there. It looked like he just went up the jump just like any other time, but he must have jumped just offline. Let's take another look. Gets into the berm. Everything looks good here. You can tell by his correction in the air, he's going, uh-oh, going a little too far left, and he runs right into a stack of those tires. Man, that was he just came to a complete stop right there. Unbelievable. He's able,
different angle.
like he's able to get up and start to kick the bike, but watch how fast he comes to a stop. Bam.
No warning whatsoever. You put it out. He was trying to make some kind of correction in the air. David, let's look at this at full speed.
Well, it's been a picture-perfect race up until this point. I don't know how he got so well. He was in the berm. I think he just wasn't setting himself up for the next corner, and everybody was cutting it pretty close right there. And now he's dealing with what a lot of riders find is the hard thing to do, is get one of those big 450 or 4-strokes started. He does, but the front end is twisted really bad, and here we go again.
Ricky Carmichael, your leader. It's deja vu all over again. Tim Ferry now sits in 2nd place. So this really, in the waning moments of a race, disaster for Kevin Windham. It was, as you said, up to this point was phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's going to drop him outside of the top 10, it looks like, at the moment. He's able to get that bike straightened out a little bit right there, and there goes Pastrana past Villeman. So Villeman really struggling right here. I don't know if his back is hurting him or riding tight or what, but he doesn't look as aggressive as he has in practicing. And Travis is starting to pick up the pace a little bit. It seemed like both Travis and Villeman were riding a little tight, or something wasn't quite right, but Travis is starting to get it ironed out.
Well, for Team Suzuki, this is maybe the best news ever. Travis Pastrana is up and riding fast. Meanwhile, Ricky Carmichael inherits the lead. Behind him, Chad Reed has now moved into 2nd place ahead of teammate Tim Ferry. So it's Carmichael, Reed, and Ferry, 1, 2, and 3.
It looks a lot like it did in Supercross. Here comes Kevin Windham. He's back up to pretty good speed. I don't think he's going quite as fast as he was chasing Clark Stiles right there. He found some banners out on the racetrack, and that's the section right there where Kevin went down. You see how close Larocco was, and John Dowd, I think that is, to that edge of the racetrack right there. So Kevin just a couple feet offline and ruined his whole race.
This is Travis Pastrana, currently sitting in 5th place on board the Suzuki number 199, decked out in the all-white.
And something's wrong with him. So
I think I jinxed him.
Something is definitely wrong with him. He moved up. Well, there goes Larry Ward past him. He was a little bit injured from a practice crash. There's the mechanic Lee McCollum going, what now?
Well, do you think it's a physical thing or a mechanical situation?
If it was a mechanical thing, he would have stopped right there by Lee to get it taken care of. So that's too bad. Oh, no. Hamlin.
Sean Hamlin gets the back end loose to the whoop section. He comes off hard, and it doesn't look like he's going to get back on.
And I saw this coming. As soon as you get your back end moving to one side or the other, see it goes over to the side. As soon as you hit the other hole, it just throws. He had no chance right there. Oh, and he just missed that spinning rear wheel as he kind of came undone with the motorcycle. The bike's tweaked, and at this point in the race, it's so hot, and you fall, and man, it is so hard to get going, and he doesn't plan on getting going either. He's still a little wobbly.
Sean Hamlin grabbing in the groin area, and he landed awfully strange as he came through there with a lot of speed. Meanwhile, your leader, Ricky Carmichael, continues to lead. You know, Carmichael, what can you say about him? He's in the right place at the right time. Kevin Windham, we saw, went down hard. He was the leader for most of this race.
Well, I think we see that Kevin's got the speed, and he's been able to get starts. He hole-shotted his qualifier on Saturday. He hole-shotted the qualifier this morning. He hole-shotted pretty much, along with Villeman, this moto. Kevin was already a good starter. Now he's got the extra power. So I think what we're going to see now a lot this season is Carmichael having to come from behind to get around Kevin. And eventually, Kevin might be able to put enough distance on him that he's going to be able to beat him. And, you know, who thought that was going to happen? I mean, there was Chad Reed, a lot of talk about that, maybe a healthy Lusk or a Villeman on a 450, but Kevin comes in there and spoils the whole deal.
Well, for Ricky Carmichael, the streak remains intact. He picks up yet another moto win here at Glen Helen. We'll be back to talk to our champ after this.
ESPN2.
Greg Albertine arguably single-handedly put South Africa motocross on the map and opened up the record books for American Suzuki here in the U.S. A nation not known much for international motocross success had a 5th place showing at the 2000 Motocross des Nations in France, thanks in large part to the South African native. Greg began racing professionally in 1989 and won his first of 3 consecutive world motocross titles in 1992. He came stateside in 95 with championship aspirations. However, the American motocross scene did not come as easy for Albie. He was known more for his hard get-offs than his wins until the 1997 250 Supercross season opener.
Albertine through the timing section takes the checkered flag.
That was also Suzuki's first 250 win in 7 years. But it would be 2 more tough years before Albertine was in a position to do what he had set out to do in coming to America. It broke a 17-year drought for the manufacturer he was loyal to his entire American career. He hung his yellow leathers after the 2000 season. Today, this fan favorite is still very much in the public eye. When Albie isn't touring the globe on a motorcycle adventure or developing real estate, he is at home with his wife Amy in Orange County, California. And Greg Albertine will become a father on May 30th. He has a website that teaches people to ride, www.howtoride.com. Back at Glen Helen Raceway for the GiantRV.com U.S. Nationals. Final results in Moto number 1, Ricky Carmichael getting the well-deserved shade. Won a victory for him and Team Honda. Ricky Carmichael is your winner, followed by Reed, Ferry, and Tortelli finishes in 4th place. Greg Albertine 11th, and Kevin Windham winds up in 14th. Right now, let's send it down to Cameron Steele.
Ricky, this seems like one of the most anticipated outdoor series we've seen in a long time. After winning every moto last year, did you feel the pressure coming into Glen Helen?
I felt pretty good, you know, still getting used to it, you know, riding the outdoors. I haven't done one moto at all year, so it felt like an eternity out there, but you know, me and Chad was out 1-2 and just putting in good laps. Seems like we're the only two guys out there other than Kevin. Kevin was, I mean, we were riding just about the same. He would inch away from me just a little bit, and, you know, he's a good rider and keeping us on our toes.
Well, you're definitely saying Kevin Wyndham's quick. We saw that out there, but it's endurance. It's so rough. How rough is the track out there? It's only the first Moto2 in Glen Helen.
Yeah, it's really rough. I can't believe we got one more out here. It's going to be gnarly.
You're not huffing and puffing too much, so we're looking forward to another great moto from you.
Thanks a lot. You know, I feel good. Definitely got to thank Dunlop Honda. Man, everything is just going really good, and we need one more moto like that.
Congratulations, Ricky.
Thanks.
As we check the schedule, upcoming events include Mount Morris on May 25th, Southwick on the 8th, and Budds Creek on the 15th. Well, a strong performance for Team Yamaha, and moments ago, our Cameron Steele caught up with the second and third place finishers in Moto number 1, Timmy Ferry and Chad Reed down in the pits.
A solid performance. I want to ask you, are you racing the track more than the other riders? It just looks incredibly tough out there.
This track's really rough. This is a rough track, and these hills at Glen Helen are gnarly. And I tried to race with Ricky there, and I didn't quite have what he had, so my mechanics, Steve Mountains, couldn't race the track, and I started racing the track, and I actually started going a little bit faster.
Obviously, a lot of talk about you and Ricky and the battle you guys have had. Moto number 2, is there something that you'll change to try to beat Ricky? Did you kind of hold back maybe a little bit at the end and save some gas for Moto number 2?
No, I was staying, you know, exactly the same as him, and, you know, I felt like I was pulling away from Timmy, and then, you know, I could see Ricky, and he wasn't pulling away, I wasn't catching him, so I thought, you know, those 2 motos, and then some guy, like, you know, he roosted me so bad that it hit my goggles real hard, and a bunch of sweat fell on my lens, and it was messing with me, and I couldn't see where I was going, and Timmy was catching me, and then I was like, do I throw him, do I leave him on? And I just chose to throw him off and just, you know, ride the race out in second.
While Chad Reed's teammate David Villeman warms up the legs and the back, we will step aside. It's time now for the Racer X Pit Pass from Glen Helen. As we look at scenes from the Celebrity Crossover Challenge, when we return to Glen Helen, it's time for the Sobe Suzuki Fast Lap right here on ESPN.
Well, Couch Potatoes, it's time at the Nationals where we take the Sobe Suzuki Fast Lap, or I like to call it the medium lap, because I really can't go that fast, but hey, my bike can, and you know, it's a Sobe Suzuki that you can win by going to the Nationals or logging on at usmotocross.com, and you can get my stinky no fear gear too if you really want it. But hey, Glen Helen, it's all about the uphill and the downhill, and there's no time to waste. Let's go out and check out the track. They drop the starting gate on you, and you're down the long straightaway, 4th gear for sure, and you're headed into one of the tallest, highest bank turns in all of motocross, the Talladega right-hander. That's going to take you into a sandy section with some left and right turns, up the elevator jump, and heading up Showy Hill. And here's where it starts to get tricky. Drop it off. You go straight down to this little funnel. One left-hand turn and straight back up. Some guy's going to have a hard time getting out of the corner, like me. Second gear, try to shift 3rd. People throwing rocks at you. You're going straight up. 2,000 feet. Make a right at the top. Make sure you're not getting past, and you drop back down. The bottom of this hill is a tricky left-hander, and there's some kickers. Your back tire is going to be coming up behind you into the rut, and then there's multiple lines coming out of this. A little tabletop and a step-up. Guys going everywhere. Next, you get a couple jumps into the canyon, up Yamaha Hill, elevation 2,060 feet. And then the ride of your life, 4th gear wide open downhill over a whooped out course, unbelievable. Off camber left into the 130-foot tabletop. go through them, they're wide, and then you get into the dirt whoop. You try to time them, get off the top, and then into this corner. Probably double that, get over the tabletop, maybe pull a tear off, and the scariest part of the track, this thing is running. Can you imagine during the second moto? Unbelievable, pick the line and go. From there, there's only a couple corners and a couple jumps left. The finish line is a straight-up kicker, 30 feet in length, and that's your Sobe Suzuki Fast Lap here at Glen Helen.
Thank you, Cameron. Well, not great news out of the Suzuki tent. Roger DeCoster had this to say about Travis Pastrana earlier.
Well, Travis really hurt his knee while he was riding. He did not crash this time, but they're taking him to the hospital right now to do an MRI and see what the problem is, how serious the problem is. But he won't be back today for the second moto.
Well, David, I can't say enough about Travis Pastrana being snake bit as we take a look at the Suzuki starting grid for Moto number 2. What do you think's going on there?
Well, you know, this is going to be kind of harsh, but I truly believe Travis is an entertainer. You know, he's a performer, and I just don't know if he's ever going to get it through a whole season to really prove himself as a racer. He's able to do it on the 125, but not in a class like this.
Moto 2 is off the line. Kevin Windham once again getting a great start, heading to the front of the pack on the inside.
Nick Way, number 27, with a great start. Lusk up in there this time, but Kevin Windham gets a second chance to go out there and check out. We'll see if he can do it again. Carmichael is up there, but he's got a lot of riders to get around before he can attack Kevin.
Ezra Lusk on the outside, number 11, trying to make a move, gets it done, gets in front of Kevin Windham, number 14, but Windham showing that the first time around wasn't a fluke. Windham certainly someone to be contested with this year. Ezra Lusk, number 11 on the Kawasaki year leader, and here comes Windham again.
Beautiful move by Ezra to just get in there and attack Kevin right away, and just to try to get out front, get into the lead, and get comfortable with it. It's completely different racing from 10th as it is from racing in the lead. You know, the excitement level, the fans, the pressure, the clear track, and knowing what kind of a pace to set. There goes Ricky. And Ezra hasn't been in the lead like this in a long time.
So it's Ezra Lusk, Kevin Windham, and Nick Way in third. Ricky Carmichael sitting in fourth right now, but this may be the best riding we've seen from Ezra since stop number 2 in Phoenix on the Supercross Tour when he dueled with Chad Reed.
Yeah, just to correct myself, yeah, he hasn't been in the lead in a long time. Well, he led that one for sure. A little mistake right there, and Kevin is right back by, but going in outdoors, Ezra's been great. Last year, it's probably his best season ever, but still, to get out front and lead the pack like this is a little bit new.
Well, at the top of the show, we talked about questions surrounding Kevin Windham and Team Honda, and I think all questions have been answered. You take away that one mistake in Moto 1, he may be looking at a 1-1 finish today.
And he did recover from that pretty good because he had another slight fall at the top of the hill. It didn't cost him that much time, but you know, he did make some mistakes that cost him quite a bit of positions, and he was able to come in, stop straight in the front end, and get back up to 14. And now look at the lead he's already opened up. Carmichael in tow, gets around Way, but still, Kevin is beginning to check out, just like Moto 1.
So it's Kevin Windham, Ezra Lusk, and Ricky Carmichael, 1, 2, and 3. This is Moto number 2, the GiantRV.com U.S. Nationals from Glen Helen Raceway in San Bernardino, California. Ricky Carmichael starting to make his move, trying to get around Ezra Lusk. Give Ezra some credit holding Ricky off, and that is a tall order in and of itself.
You see some places where they've been watering the track a little bit, and you know, that makes the riding conditions great. The only thing that kind of wrecks in the first couple of laps is your vision. You can see that Ricky is pretty covered all along his front side. Hard to see. He's got to use a lot of tear-offs, and here he comes.
Carmichael on the inside, number 4. The Honda gets past number 11, Ezra Lusk, and Ezra, somewhat passive in letting Ricky get by, will slide into third place. So Carmichael, you pointed out, looks like he got a full face of roost. Now sits in second, and it's deja vu once again. Windham in first, Carmichael in second. We'll see if Windham can hold on this time. There's your running orders. We head to break. Windham, Carmichael, Lusk, and Way. welcome back to San Bernardino, California. Glen Helen Raceway, the GiantRV.com U.S. National, stop number 1 of the AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championships. Todd Harris along with the champ David Bailey and Cameron Steele. Your leader right now is Kevin Windham, but this is the battle for 4th, and look at Chad Reed get after it.
I like the line, too, and Carmichael, right when he came back from break, he would get into the berm as he headed towards us down that straightaway and then hop up out of it and move way over to his right. That's what Chad Reed did to make his pass. It sets up the block pass well, but it also, I think with all the ruts and the braking bumps, it gets you into that right-hand corner at the end a little bit faster.
Nick Way currently sitting in 5th place. Chad Reed in that mix as well. And Sean Hamlin goes down one more time. And for Sean Hamlin, he had a wicked get-off in Moto number 1, and this time just a mistake.
Yeah, I think he's riding pretty sore right now, and I don't know that Suzuki wants to disclose exactly what's wrong with him, but he is in some pain out there, and he just made things worse for himself. He was up in this mix right here, but it's going to take a lot to catch him again.
22 is Chad Reed riding for Team Yamaha right now, getting a lot of speed through that section, as you pointed out, taking some very creative lines, maybe learning from what Ricky was doing, but right now Chad Reed is moving up and moving up quick. Timmy Ferry sits in 6th place right now.
And you know, if we take a look at Kevin on the 4-stroke, starting to get caught a little bit by Carmichael. Nick Way doing a heck of a job on the 4-stroke, switching from the 250 to the big 450 for outdoors. Got a good start this time, and he's getting used to the pace and what it's like to run up in there with guys like Carmichael and Lusk and Ferry and Chad. And all that's going to do is boost his confidence. So if this happens again and he gets a good start, he may be able to ride even more relaxed and hold him off. Maybe even get up in the top 3 in the outdoors.
Yamaha currently running 4, 5, and 6 with Chad Reed, number 22. There's Nick Way, number 27, and Tim Ferry, number 15, making his way up and around. Back in front, though, it's Kevin Windham, your leader. He led for most part of Moto number 1 until a brutal crash coming across a tabletop. He just miscalculated or something, went right into the tires.
Yeah, just a little bit offline. And that's going to be tougher this moto because they're going into the sun. Every time they go up Mount St. Helens, Showy Hill, right, and into some of these, you see the shadow right there. That's really tough to see your line, and if you don't get that line dialed in just right, you can't clear that step up, which slows your pace all the way up that hill. And watch Ricky's line. See, he hops up out of there, he misses those few bumps, he's able to be a little bit more aggressive coming down into the corner. He doesn't give up anything in the corner, so that line's really paying off for him. And Kevin can feel the pressure now.
Kevin Windham feeling the pressure of his teammate Ricky Carmichael, both men riding for Honda. Number 14 is Windham. Number 4 is Ricky Carmichael, the defending champion, trying to keep his streak alive, a streak which was basically started after the last time Kevin Windham beat him.
Yep, Kevin's the one guy that everyone knows could beat him, and you know, this is probably the most impressive comeback in motocross that I've ever seen. You know, because he was a question mark when he broke his leg last year in Atlanta, and he sat out for a long time, and he kept it a secret what it was he was going to do or not do, and finally to just come back. Our first look at him is he's running with Carmichael. That just doesn't happen outdoors. Last year, no one even got close for 24 motos.
Kevin Windham is so incredibly fast, and you put him on that 4-stroke, you think, well, Ricky Carmichael will get him eventually, but he is doing a masterful job on a track, as Ricky said in his own words, that is just going to get worse.
It will get worse, and the glare will get worse, but you know what? Both these guys like really demanding technical tracks. The more ruts and stuff like that to develop, the better it is for Kevin Windham. He just floats through all of it with ease, and Carmichael likes it because everyone gets tired, and he doesn't, you know, and when we look at these guys, we can kind of call them teammates, but on one hand, but on the other hand, it's, you know, Ricky is full factory Honda, factory semi, along with Fonseca and Nathan Ramsey. But for Kevin, although it's a full factory bike, he's under the factory connection umbrella, I should say. And even though these guys could be teammates a lot of times, they have their own buses. They don't see much of each other anyway. So it's every man for himself right now.
They're both riding red, but there are no team orders right now. Ricky Carmichael trying to keep that streak alive. Kevin Windham trying to break it up. Number 14, Kevin Windham is your leader. Number 4, Ricky Carmichael right behind him.
You can see that Kevin's able to cut that corner a lot tighter. Oh, he loses a little mistake right there, and Ricky's put a lot of pressure on him, but he was able to cut that corner a lot tighter because he has more power to get over that step up.
So Carmichael looks for a spot to pounce. Kevin Windham tries to hold him off for a few more laps. Ricky really coming on hard, and Kevin Windham searching for an answer to hold the youngster off.
Well, you know what I'm thinking as they approach that section where the line that I talked about Ricky's been using, he's trying to stay close enough to Kevin. He sized him up the last time. If he's close enough, oh, beautiful. Well, he doesn't have to wait till the next straightaway to make the pass. He was able to jump over the top of that timing section and caught Kevin by surprise.
Ricky Carmichael slides to the inside. He gets the job done. He gets past Kevin Windham, so it's 1 and 2. Carmichael leads. Kevin Windham now sits in second.
Now I wonder if Kevin's just going, all right, I haven't ridden with Ricky in a while in a race situation. Let me just check him out. I don't know if he's doing a little cat and mouse thing here or if he just doesn't quite have enough for Ricky. We'll find out another lap or two. If Ricky can check out, then that answers that.
Well, there are definitely sections out here where his setup, speaking of Kevin Windham's bike, favors Ricky, but it doesn't look like right now Ricky has anything to do with that. As we look at the battle for third right now, it's Chad Reed and Ezra Lusk. Lusk, number 11 on the left side of your screen. Chad Reed on the inside, number 22. On board the Yamahas, we go back to our leaders. Ricky Carmichael starting to open up a little bit of a gap on number 14, Kevin Windham.
Good look at the gap back to third. Chad Reed having a tough time in those early laps. The starts weren't that bad, but he wasn't as impressive in the opening laps as Carmichael. I think Windham really set that up for Ricky and let him know he better get busy in those early laps or he could kiss the race goodbye.
As we take a look at our running orders, Carmichael, Windham, Reed, and Lusk. Back to Glen Helen for the conclusion after this. Back to Glen Helen Raceway for the GiantRV.com U.S. National, stop number 1. This is Moto number 2. Ricky Carmichael continues to lead as we go back to 6th place, and Greg Albertine.
What a ride for Greg. You know, he's a 3-time world champion. He did win the 250 National Championship, which enables him to keep that number 7. Saw him riding around in practice yesterday going, hey, oh, that's right. He still gets to run number 7. He's been out for a while, but it was cool. He was able to still run that. Not have to pick some 3-digit and be kind of hidden in the crowd, but he has really stepped it up in the second moto, riding fabulous in some fast company.
Speaking of riding fabulous, Ricky Carmichael does exactly what he needs to do to pick up a win and a title, and that is what has been the story for him the last 2 or 3 years. Carmichael, number 4 on the Honda ride, was in 4th place, moved his way up to 3rd, and then finally picked off Kevin Windham on a very tricky section. Using patience, but also using a lot of throttle and power, Ricky Carmichael has just accelerated through the pack.
You know what I'm finding about Ricky that I'm really impressed with this season is, well, he's changed a couple things. First of all, his handlebars are a little bit more forward and they're up a little bit higher. His seat is a little bit taller, anticipating next year's Supercross season from the people I talked to over at Honda. And he's picking better lines out on the racetrack. Usually he just pins it, and wherever he ends up is where he ends up, and it's fast, he wins, and that's all that matters. But now he's able to go fast and really pick some lines. I think in a few places on the racetrack, his lines are the only difference between he and Kevin Windham.
Mike LaRocco and John Dowd having a battle right now. John Dowd sitting in 9th, LaRocco right in front of him, number 5, sitting in 8th place. They got together again in Moto number 1. Almost the same result for both these men. So Mike LaRocco, another one of those riders coming off a disappointing Supercross season with injury, as we go back to Kevin Windham, who sits in 2nd place. But I think the story of the weekend, not only Ricky Carmichael's domination of winning again and keeping the streak alive as we look at the final lap, but the surprise of Kevin Windham coming out and really putting on a show. But today it belongs once again to number 4, Ricky Carmichael, who comes out, gets the victory in Moto number 1, and he's going to make it a win in Moto number 2.
Well, so here we go again. The streak is alive, 2 more motos, and I think what we've seen is that Kevin Windham can run with him.
Right.
And Chad Reed, with some starts, can run with him. He was matching his pace, but still, it's going to take a great day and a little bit of luck to stop this kid.
Well, Ricky Carmichael back on the trail again. As we pointed out at the top of the show, he lost 6 straight main events to Chad Reed in the Supercross finale. Not something that sets well with Ricky Carmichael, but he is back on his winning ways, winning Moto 1, and now picking up the victory here. Moto number 2 at Glen Helen. Your winner, Ricky Carmichael.
You know, Todd, I was wondering what his confidence would be like after 6 losses in Supercross, because Chad was clearly faster, but he has really put a statement on this victory today.
Make it 15 in a row. Let's send it down to Cameron Steele.
Well, guys, the streak is alive. Ricky Carmichael on fire today at Glen Helen. Ricky, you got to be pleased with the way it started out the season.
Yeah, it was really good. I tell you, things went good today. It's good to see 2 Hondas up front in that second moto, and you know, it was nice. Me and Kevin had a good race, and it was fun. We were just out there doing our own thing. It was Good day for myself and for Honda. I'm pumped to finally get a win. It's been a while.
Kind of your nemesis from Supercross, Chad Reed, with a 2nd overall today. Surprised, a rookie on the 250s. Were you surprised with his speed and his conditioning here?
I didn't know what to expect from him. It's just a new season, and I knew Kevin was going to be fast. No one was really counting on him, and there's no bit of telling if he wouldn't have crashed that first moto. It'd probably been Honda 1-2, but I'm just pumped to be back on the top box.
We'll see you in Sacramento, Ricky. Great job today.
Thanks a lot.
As we take a look at our Honda final results from Moto number 2, it's Carmichael, Wyndham, Reed, Lusk, and Ferry, your top 5. Greg Albertine with a great finish as well for Ward, Larocco, and Dowd. Nick Way fell off the pace just a little bit after a great start. Sean Hamlin battling a bit of an injury, but he was in there. Right now, let's send it back down to Cameron.
Chad Reed going 2-3 today for a 2nd overall. Not a bad way to start your rookie series in the U.S. Chevy Trucks Outdoor Nationals.
Yeah, I knew coming in today it was going to be tough, and, the Supercross season was going down to the wire, and I just, I never had time to go outdoors. I was always concentrating on Supercross and things like that, but, I think Ricky did the same, and, I just got to work a little harder at it. And, it seems like Ricky and I have the same thing. I'm a little better at Supercross, he's better at outdoors, so just got to do what he does and work hard and, see what we can do.
As we take a look at our Honda overall final results, Carmichael gets the overall victory, followed by Chad Reed, Tim Ferry, Ezra Lusk, and a great showing for Kevin Wyndham. Back down to Cameron, who's with our 3rd place overall finisher.
Well, Timmy, a solid way to start it out. A 3rd place overall. Satisfied now?
Actually, I have to be satisfied. After coming off and not really racing for over 2 months, and racing the last 2 Supercrosses just to get in shape. And I'm kind of happy actually. It's not the way I wanted to ride here, but I felt really good that first moto. The 2nd moto, I just didn't have the energy.
A true test. We'll see you at Hangtown, Timmy. Great job.
Well, the point tally is pretty simple. Ricky Carmichael, there you see it at the top of the board. Reed in 2nd, Ferry, Lusk, and Wyndham in 5th.
Well, Kevin, it's been a year and a half since you've been on the racetrack. Come back, a podium in the 2nd moto. It's got to be pretty satisfying.
Yeah, I wish I could have kept it on the 2 wheels at the first moto. I felt really good and got a little banged up. And the 2nd moto I went out there, I'm like, all right, I just got to keep this thing on 2 wheels. It's early in the season. Got a lot ahead of me, and just feels good to be back on the track.
All right, what happened in the first moto? If you could take us back, what went wrong?
Well, I just pushed a little bit wide coming out of one of the turns. It was kind of shiny. I missed the berm, slid off the track, and a tough block met me when I landed.
Definitely not too shabby. We look forward to seeing the race in Hangtown.
We'll definitely tune in next week to see if Ricky Carmichael can eclipse the great Jeremy McGrath. You won't want to miss that broadcast. On behalf of Cameron Steele and David Bailey, I'm Todd Harris saying, stay